Hi, I'm Janine from Chicago. I selected Boy Meets Boy by David Levithan because I love David Levithan and everything that he's written. And Boy Meets Boy, I feel, is a book about the world the way that it should be, even though it's not the way that it is right now. So this is from Boy Meets Boy. I've always known I was gay, but it wasn't confirmed until I was in kindergarten. It was my teacher who said so. It was right there on my kindergarten report card. Paul is definitely gay and has very good sense of self. I saw it on her desk one day before nap time, and I have to admit, I might not have realized I was different if Mrs. Benchley hadn't pointed it out. I mean, I was 5 years old. I just assumed boys were attracted to other boys. Why else would they spend all of their time together, playing on teams and making fun of the girls? I assumed it was because we all liked each other. I was still unclear how girls fit into the picture, but I thought I knew the boy thing a-okay. Imagine my surprise to find out that I wasn't entirely right. Imagine my surprise when I went through all the other reports and found out that not one of the other boys had been labeled definitely gay. In all fairness, none of the others had a very good sense of self either. Mrs. Benchley caught me at her desk and looked quite alarmed. Since I was more than a little confused, I asked her for some clarification. Am I definitely gay? I asked. Mrs. Benchley looked me over and nodded. What's gay? I asked. It's when a boy likes other boys, she explained. I pointed over to the painting corner where Greg Easton was wrestling on the ground with Ted Halpern. Is Greg gay? I asked. No, Mrs. Benchley answered. At least, not yet. Interesting. I found it all very interesting. Mrs. Benchley explained a little more to me, the whole boys liking girls thing. I can't say I understood. Mrs. Benchley asked me if I'd noticed that marriages were mostly made up of men and women. I had never really thought of marriages as things that involved liking. I had just assumed that this man-woman arrangement was yet another adult quirk, like flossing. Now Mrs. Benchley was telling me something much bigger, some sort of silly global conspiracy. But that's not how I feel, I protested. My attention was a little distracted because Ted was now pulling up Greg Easton's shirt, and that was kind of cool. How I feel is what's right? For you, yes, Mrs. Benchley told me. What you feel is absolutely right for you. Always remember that. And I have, sort of. That night, I held my big news until after my favorite Nickelodeon block was over. My father was in the kitchen doing dishes. My mother was in the den with me reading on the couch. Quietly, I walked over to her. Guess what? I said. She jumped, then tried to pretend she hadn't been surprised. Since she didn't close her book, she only marked the page with her finger. I knew I didn't have much time. What? She asked. I'm gay. Parents never react the way you want them to. I thought, at the very least, my mother would take her finger out of the book. But no, instead, she turned in the direction of the kitchen and yelled to my father, Honey, Paul's learned a new word.